All right, Tommy, welcome to the podcast. I was looking forward to this for a couple weeks.
I'm excited. Thank you for letting me be here.
Awesome. If people aren't familiar with you, you have built a massive business, A1 Garage Doors. So how did you get into entrepreneurship off the bat?
So my mom worked 3 jobs when I was a kid. She was a realtor. She used to serve tables and bartend. She used to do whatever it takes to make ends meet. My dad owned a transmission shop before they got a divorce. I realized I could mow lawns and shovel snow in Michigan and make a pretty good little nest egg. And when I was 12, I washed dishes for $4.05 under the table. So I always figured out I got to work for my money. I wasn't really given anything. Got a little bit older, 17, started a landscaping business, did that for a long time, although I'm allergic to grass, and bought and sold cars, flipped 1,000 vehicles. And what I realized one day when I took a week vacation is I stopped making money. So
Yeah.
how do you build wealth when you're sleeping, when you go out of town that creates systems to work? 2008, I got into the garage door business. 2007, I was painting garage doors. And a mentor of mine, my CPA, handed me a book called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber.
Good book.
I read that in a day. I read The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. Went back to him the next day. He handed me The Richest Man in Babylon. After that, I was just a reader for life. And I fell forward. I made every mistake you could think of, whether it's people stealing, trying to do everything for everybody, mismanaging money, you name it. I've been in this business now 17 years. And now we're on pace to do about 260 million, 25% bottom line, 23 states. Very proud of where we're at. Still think we're in the fetal stages of where we're going.
That is amazing. You mentioned the book, The E-Myth, which is really talking about creating an actual business and systematizing. So you're working on your business, not in your business, which is where most entrepreneurs get stuck. Or I'll say that lightly because most people are just self-employed. So as you scaled that business, because you obviously had to start with one customer at one house, one garage, and now you guys are in 23 states. How did you do that from a cash flow standpoint? How did you get your business financially from the starting point up to 9 figures?
When I was 16, I was sitting in my cousin's red Corvette, and he goes, "How much do you have in your retirement account?" I go, "What do you mean? I don't have a retirement account." He goes, "Let's go start you a Roth IRA." He goes, "How much could you afford to put in a month?" I said, "Maybe 50 bucks." He said, "Okay, make it 300." And I did exactly what he said. I grinded. I picked up second shifts. I bussed tables. I washed dishes. It didn't matter what I was doing. I worked till I got the money. So I always had this idea of delayed gratification, live below your means, reinvest in the things that are working. And early stages of business, man, when I was taking the phone calls and running the jobs, I was grinding. I was putting a lot of money away. Not to mention, I was still bartending. I still had the landscape business. I was flipping stuff, anything I get my hands on. And then I became infatuated with marketing. When I started A1, it fell first into the phone book the year the yellow book died and Google came out. So I started
Yeah.
studying Google. And back before cell phones had cameras, I was figuring out the YouTube algorithm. I was posting 1,000 ads a day on Craigslist. I got obsessed with marketing and figured out a way to make Valpak work where it comes out to be 10% of revenue, which is almost impossible for most companies. And 2014, I found a great integrator. And then I got an executive assistant. So I started to buy back my time, if you will. I gave him all the things that he enjoyed that I hated. I focused on sales, marketing, and mentorship and motivation. And he dealt with the lawyers, he dealt with payroll, he dealt with HR, but I was missing a piece to the equation. I didn't have a great CFO. I went through 5 CFOs, got the right guy only a few years ago. That changed everything. We're at 25% bottom line. I'm going to move it to 30%. We invest a lot into marketing, but I market now more for people. I think a lot of people focus on lead gen, but they don't know their
Yeah.
booking rate. They don't know their conversion rate. They don't know their cost per acquisition. And they're like behind this race car, not really knowing where they're going, not understanding that everybody's blaming marketing, but they're not answering the phone calls. Their GMB or GVP, they don't stay open 24/7. They don't have an after hours call center. When they meet a client, they don't close the deal. They don't give options, they give ultimatums. If you're not giving your client lots of options, there's either a yes or no. I'm going to go over 5 options for you, then you can pick one you like. I've got everything from economy builder grade all the way to top of the line. You can find one that fits for you and your family. I can be the cheapest, I can match pricing, and I can also be the highest. And I never say cheapest, I say most economical. I never say sign the contract, I say, okay, the paperwork. I never say cost, I say investment. We got an 8-step process that closes every time. We've got a 5-step turnover that works every time if it's executed properly. And I'm a technology company now that happens to do garage doors.
That's a great answer. I'm in the real estate space and you're familiar with that business where you're getting leads off market and making them an offer. And I see a lot of people, they get leads and they have a horrible process to convert and then they blame the leads. And you called them back 3 days later and they wanted to sell their house right away. So therefore that $30,000 piece of revenue that could have been there turned into zero because you didn't have a good process to actually convert that deal. So when it comes to the paid marketing side, when you're doing direct marketing for recruiting, for actually getting consumers to call in or fill out a web form, what are you looking for? Like, what is your ideal cost to get a customer and then the average order value for that customer?
So first thing you need to do is get branded correctly. Donald Miller wrote a great book called The Story Brand. I met a guy with a company called Kick Charge. When I was 40 million, I rebranded, and he's the best brander in the world. My brand showed up and it didn't have Angie's List and all these other things. A lot of home service companies put everything they do. They put patios, roofs, gutters, and yes, we know you do that. The brand needs to be right. It's a clean brand. And the yard signs look like the TV commercials, look like the website, look like the stickers, look like everything, right? When I did the branding correctly, all of a sudden people remembered me. People were applying more. People stayed working with me longer, and the customer started paying more and conversion rate went up. So I think there's a story behind the brand, and branding is super important. The next thing, when you're small, you got to be networking, meeting the people, going to BNI meetings, going to chamber meetings. You've got to be networking. You've got to talk to realtors. There's a great book called Go for No. A lot of people go for yeses. We go for no on everything. I would tell you that I spent years studying the top technicians and spending hours with them on the phone each night, building processes. Getting the right CRM was half the battle. I think the people with the right CRM, the average person needs to get back to the lead. Right now, we're at 2 minutes and 37 seconds. I'm shooting for under a minute. Be the lead is so important. And 1 minute is the capture point. And to set up automations, you can use Go High Level, you can use HubSpot. Chirp is the newest, latest thing that works the best. It handles all my rehash, unbooked calls, abandoned calls, any form filled. It's an amazing tool. It integrates well with the CRMs. I think what you're trying to do is offer something nobody else is. So I do a lot of bundles to try to give more value with a package. I think everybody tries to sell apples to apples. I sell oranges.
And that's how you stand out and make that marketing more effective. That's how you can spend a big marketing budget and know with all that tracking, it's going to come back to a direct ROAS, right? What channels do you like best right now that's working in 2024 from a media standpoint?
So the very best is you dominate your Google My Business page, open hours. If you want to know something, my buddy just gave me this tool that he created. It's called PIN, P-I-N Parrot. And what it does, it feeds Google customized stuff. And it works for any industry. I turned it on 2 months ago and I doubled my calls. So I think GMB and organic, like my website ranks in the top 3 of all home service in the country. So when you look at SEO, you look at your sitemap, you look at your mobile load speed, you got to look at your H1 tags, your schema data, and your metadata. And then it's all about backlinks and it's all about new content that's interesting, that keeps the customer engaging in the content. So those two, GMB and organic. And then you got local service ads and pay-per-click. Pay-per-click is going to be the most expensive, but it's great for capacity planning. If I got Valpak hitting that week, I'm not doing much pay-per-click except for my own keywords because I got the highest quality score. When you get done with this conversation with me, you'll understand that I'm a marketer. That's what I do. I market for high talent and I market for customers that want it done the right way, not the easy way. We're regression testing all the time, trying to figure out age of home, credit score. We're looking at all these different factors. How many garage doors do they have? Is it male or female? What's the average age? We're introducing all this AI and machine learning. We're playing a game that's not even fair. And Ray Kroc said, when your enemies are drowning, stick a hose in their mouth. Now, I love my competition, but I'm putting a fire hose out there right now.
Absolutely. Especially with that marketing plan. Have you ever used direct mail?
Secret sauce to direct mail is number one. You got to understand how to negotiate. Most people are paying 50 cents and they're not doing it with data. So you got to have really great data. And there's a lot of data places you can figure out. Number one is I got a heat map of where all my clients are, right? If garage doors are breaking heavy in that area, we run 18,000 calls a month. So I know where stuff's breaking. I know the age of the home. So I'll spray an area with the perfect avatar that are pre-qualified, right, through financing. And then what I'll do is I renegotiate. I get that down below 40 cents. And then on top of that, I'll find a like industry, like what goes with garage doors? Well, the bottom rubber is how the bugs get in, pest control. So instead of paying 40 cents, I'll pay 20 cents. And even if I lose 20% conversion, I'm paying half the price. So now I can more than double my mailers and I'm still winning and the other company's winning too. But find a good partner, find a realtor. Your job is to be a realtor. Is to be, you'll buy the home, you'll flip the home, you'll let them stay in the home for longer, you'll lease back to them. You got to have 1,000 options. We could talk about that in a little bit because I've learned a lot about how to close the deal when you're in the client's home.
I'd like to get into that if you don't mind, because I see a lot of people, like I mentioned earlier, they'll get the phone to ring or they'll get the web forms coming in, but they'll be in the house or on the phone trying to negotiate and they'll just get steamrolled.
You never, ever negotiate over the phone. What's the first thing you do? Like typical ring. Hey, Mr. Jones, it's Tommy here. Yeah, you got a mailer. You want to buy my house? How much were you looking for? You don't
What do you
ask that
want?
over the phone. Your job of the phone call is to get out there, and you don't drive a brand new Mercedes, but you also don't drive a cheap car. You want to
Yeah.
look successful. You want to have something good that says, I'm good at what I do, but I'm not super wealthy.
Yeah.
And so then you don't want to come in a three-piece suit. You want to come in a polo shirt. You want to
Yeah.
smile. And then when you're at the kitchen table, you're going to talk with them and say, so what are you looking to do? No matter what they say, your job is to say yes. I was thinking I want to sell the house. I looked at Zillow. It's worth 325,000. I want 325,000. Okay, that sounds great. Let's just do that then. We got a whole process. Obviously, we're going to look at the home if the foundation's messed up or the roof's bad or the HVAC is bad. I got to go through this. Usually, they'll say a price less than Zillow. And then you say, listen, I'm going to be very straightforward with you. If it needs expensive repairs, I got to take that off the total. You secure the listing. And then you say, we tried it at 350. You want to sell the house? Let's put it at 310 and get a bidding more. You got to agree with the client. You're spending hours with them. Oh, you want to stay in the home for 6 more months? Will you make that work? Oh, your cousin's in jail that has the deed to the property? We'll do the tough stuff. We'll get that. I've always been on the marketing side of it, and I've always got coached. Like Jim Krautkramer is where I learned the most from. He's a coach out of the East Coast, and he's the one that taught me just get down there and get them to make a decision. Then you could always wiggle it down and renegotiate. But you want to get all the other people, all the competition out of the room. You prove that you actually listen and you care. And then you get them to make a decision with you. Then you can do whatever you want with it.
Then you have the deal at that point. And then at that point, they're going to trust you more because they know you're there to help them. And then they'll take that advice because you're a trusted advisor versus a salesperson in that case.
Correct.
So it just gives you a better advantage with these people. So how did you end up getting into that highest cash offer game? Because you've had the garage door business for now almost 20 years. So how did you end up even getting into the real estate space?
So a gal I was dating for a long time, she was with these 4 guys and they had a website, highest cash offer. And they're like, we can't seem to get this ranking. So me and my partner, Dustin, we started doing SEO and we got to the point where we're getting 150 leads a day throughout the country.
On Google SEO?
Just SEO. This is a long time ago. And the problem is that Danny and Jared and the whole team, they'd only take a deal if they were paying 30 cents on the dollar. We didn't have the training and we had so many leads. It's just, we weren't ready. We just produced leads. Then we built a scraping tool for all the municipalities that were getting fines for overgrown plants. We worked on things like hoarders. We got sponsored ads on the hoarders site. Who just were really good at generating leads. And it was something I was involved in the lead side of it.
So what type of real estate investing do you do, if you do any?
I work with Goldman Sachs. I got a personal CFO. I've got a bunch of investment strategies. For me, right now, the best investments I can make are either in other home service companies, software companies, because software is ARR, right? I'm building a $27 million house in Idaho, should have $10 million of equity. My PV house should have an extra $10 million of equity. I've got lots of rentals, but the best ROI for me with Goldman Sachs, I invest in the S&P 500, but I sell them when they go down after a month and I could write off those losses. So last year I did 13 million profit, showed I lost 5 million. I just play the tax code and there's 2 tax codes. There's those for the broke and those for the wealthy. And most people just go to their CPA or they go to like their LegalZoom or they go to TurboTax and they don't even know what's out there. It's a different game we play and it's all legal. That's the trick of the wealthy. You could borrow against your assets, pay a small fee, and never pay capital gains.
Yeah, because you don't pay taxes on debt.
No, that's Robert Kiyosaki 101.
Yeah, right. You do the refinance and you don't pay taxes on the money. I've done that for some rentals myself. You buy it cheap, you refinance, and then you get all your money back and it's tax-free because it's a loan. And then there you go. You got that equity stuck in that property and you got a couple $100 a month of cash flow coming in. That is definitely the way to do it. So what does the future look like for A1? Where do you want to take this business? Because you obviously have this market here by force.
So I took on a private equity company at the end of 2022. So I own half the company. And I wanted to have a blank check to go buy companies. So the idea is to get to about 35 states. We're with a company called Cortec. They're absolutely phenomenal. We want to get the EBITDA to 110, 120 million, and we want to flip it. And in a perfect world, I'm going to flip to the person with the most technology in the garage, which is Chamberlain, 72% of all openers that go in. I'll know that you have a broken garage or a bad spring or an off-track door or a forest problem before you do. I'll be able to contact you before you could even go to Google or look at a sticker or go through your mail. So if that happens, we'll build this into a little over $2 billion company, flip it, I'll roll equity, and then we partner with the right partner and we get this thing to 15 billion valuation and go public.
There you go. When you do that, do you think you'll ever stop working and retire? Or are you always going to be out there in the entrepreneur game until you're 95 years old?
My mom asked me this question and I tell her, did Tiger Woods quit golfing after he won 4 majors the same year? No, he loves what he does. It's a way of life for him. He enjoys every minute of it. He enjoys competing. I'm Tiger Woods in home service. So no, but in the perfect world, I got a guy, Dan Martell, that's coaching me. I put myself at 80 years old. What does my life look like looking back at 41? What did I do in those 29 or 39 years? Where did I go? Who did I go with? How well did you show up for your family? How well did you do in the community? How much did you give back? So I'm designing the life I want. I could say in 3 to 5 years, my perfect life is golfing twice a week, fishing once a week, working 4 days a week, 5 hours a day. And there's a lot more to it than that, but I'm designing a purposeful life on purpose. And it's intentional. I think very few people write down their goals, and some of them, they don't really reverse engineer what it takes to do those goals. If you want to get down 10% body fat, you got to count calories. You got to be looking at your protein intake. You got to be thinking about sleep and water, the right supplements. Some people say, I want to lose 10 pounds in 10 months. They don't have a plan to get there. You got to have a detailed plan, hour by hour, day by day, if you want to hit those type of goals. And it's the same thing with anything you want.
A lot of people don't have that intention, and that's why they have the goal, it turns into a wish, and then it just sits in the back of their mind and it never gets executed. So, Tommy, people want to get in touch with you, follow you. What is the best way for them to check you out online?
So if you go to TommyMello.com, it's got all my social handles, official Tommy Mello. It's got everything from LinkedIn to Facebook to Twitter to Instagram and TikTok. My podcast is number 12 in the country for business. It's the Home Service Expert, but I talk a lot about a lot of other things, systems, processes, delegation, and culture. It's made for home services, but it applies to almost every other business. And then I've got 2 books, The Home Service Millionaire and Elevate, Build a Business Where Everybody Wins. I think the whole process of Elevate is when you have a business, lead from up front, have a dream so big that everybody else's dream could fit into that dream. And it's paid for performance. It talks about the things that work in any company. And yeah, listen, I'm always here to give back. I didn't plan on this being here, but it's a newsletter, Secrets of the Trades. It's the first 3 months are free. I don't make money on this, but it's TommyMello.com/news. And you could try for 3 free months of it, and it's a few $100 a month or year if you wanted to get that. But I'm always willing to help. I'm always an open ear. I want to see people win. Just because I win doesn't mean you got to lose. I think there's a misconception there. We could all win in the trades, but you helping out other people win. When I go into another market, the first thing I do is invite all the other competitors in, and we elevate the industry, we elevate the market, we offer more value, and we win together.
You elevate the standard. And you know what they say, a rising tide lifts all ships versus the other way around where people have that zero-sum mentality. Tommy, I got one more question for you before we let you go. And I have this discussion with a lot of people in like our masterminds and stuff. It seems to me the off-market house flipping industry, wholesaling and flipping particularly, those companies, unless they get franchised, which there's only few of them, really seem to never be able to get sold. Right? Like you could be making $3 million a year in a house flipping operation in profit. Let's say you do 6 in revenue, 3 in net, 50% margin. There's not a lot of people who sell these businesses. And a lot of people say these businesses are unsellable. And obviously you're in a business that is sellable. And it seems like it's a similar type of business where it's, you know, it's a high ticket sale, not like a software business where it's monthly recurring. So why do you think these wholesaling businesses can be tough to sell? Is it the business model with the saturation and the competition? Or is it just the actual operator is not good enough to actually build a company valuable enough to sell at a nice multiple?
Here's the deal. If I'm going to buy a business and I'm a very educated investor, I want to see 3 to 5 years of a track record that shows that there's not dips. When the market takes a dip, if it's all economical conditions and interest rates affect it, then I have no really stabilization of my investment. So they look at that. If the economy, if the interest rate changes, if the builders stop building, new construction is such a low multiple because the builders stop working, we don't make money. Look at 2008, 2009 taught us that. I'm literally interest rate proof. I'm literally COVID proof. I'm essential. I'm literally housing market going to shit proof. So I want to see stabilization, and I want to see if you're not there for a year, what does the company do? Because I could leave my business for a year, it wouldn't affect anything. So those are the 2 things. Economic conditions, do they change? Do you show a record of improving every year with stability? And if you left, would it still be good? If you could prove those things, it would be worth a lot more money.
I think a lot of the time, if that operator goes away, that business doesn't have as much success. And that's where people get scared to buy those companies.
Plus, if your contractor goes away, I want to know that you have a deep bench. Because if
Yeah,
you got one major guy reliant on remodels and he goes away, the whole business falls apart.
literally.
So if I had one client, it was just like one massive REIT,
Yeah,
I'd be worth a lot less because if that client goes away, my business goes away.
yeah.
So that's, and therefore the contractors and the flippers and the people you're using, you got to have a really deep bench. And that's one thing I'd say is to people is if you got this guy doing tile at $1 a foot, you need 10 guys doing that and a quality job, and you need checks and balances. Because if I'm an investor, I'm like, man, you're getting all these great rates. What happens if these guys go away? The average is like what, $8 a foot. So now I got to go to $8 a foot. And now that's eating into margin.
Yeah, being dependent upon one critical person. That's where I see a lot of the mistakes. It's the operators really involved, and then the contractors are hit or miss. So it's an interesting business for sure.
Let me say one more thing here because I met a really interesting company a few years ago. They're called CB. They built software. They only work with 100 million plus companies that are REITs, right? Real estate investment trusts. And what they do is they work with OEM manufacturers. They work with Goodman for the HVAC units. They work with new garages, the garbage disposal, the hot water heaters, the roofing, the kitchens. And they go in and they do everything. These REITs buy these houses. They replace everything with a 10-year warranty. That
Mm,
way they can get everything's under warranty for the next 10 years. And then even if the unit's not bad, after 10 years, they replace it all. It goes back under the warranty. So that way they build
mm.
a fixed model. There's not, oh, you need a roof. Oh, your hot water heater just flooded. Oh, you're getting sued because of the mold. All the stuff is new, and it builds this track record of an exact ROI in your investment. So it's something that I think, and if you got a problem, let's just say the garage door doesn't work. You hit a button in their app, it contacts me, the garage door provider, and I go out and fix it. And the
Mm.
investor doesn't need to be involved. That's where the future is going. And I believe that this whole new stuff of AI and BI tools like Power BI and these automation, this machine learning, if you're not digging into this stuff, you're going to get crushed. You don't
Yeah.
stand a chance. You might as well retire today.
No, it's true. The way you explain that with the warranty, because that's where I see a lot of like landlords like myself, you have rentals, is they don't have the warranties, or they're even the flippers. Like you said, they'll get sued afterwards for something that they didn't disclose. And if you had that warranty built in, it's a fixed
No
cost.
brainer.
Yeah, it's a no brainer. Tommy, appreciate your time today,
Appreciate
my
you,
friend.
man. Listen, if you need anything, if anybody needs any garage door work, remember the garage door is the smile of your home. It's 40% of your curb appeal. It's the #1 ROI, more than your kitchens or bathrooms. The garage door changes everything. You could lower your electric bill. There's a million things. I work with a lot of flippers. I get it done. I'm the biggest buyer of garage doors in North America. I got the best prices, and I'll get it up and running. I'll give you a great warranty. I'll work with you. What we charge normal customers, if you use us 100 times a month, you're going to pay a different price.
100%. When are you guys going to get up to New York so we can start getting some garage doors? You got any partners up there? Because that's where we do a lot of house flips.
Yeah, I can help you out. Just send me a text message. I got partners in New York. Yeah,
Thanks.
if you ever need anything, if you ever need HVAC guys, if you need roofers, if you need gutters, I'll find you guys anybody that does honest work. They're affordable. They'll warranty it. They're licensed. They're insured. That's what you want. Time is so much more important than price, especially if you're using hard money. Like most investors don't even understand these things.
Yeah, I have a friend. So I have a good GC I use. I'll pay a little bit more for that service because it gets done like that day, right? He'll go with the cheap guy. The cheap guy will be a third of the price, but then the cheap guy will do it the wrong way. He'll put crappy materials in there, and then he'll end up paying double over time. It just doesn't make any sense. And he does volume too. And I'm like, dude, why don't you just start using a real contractor and you'll make your whole life a lot easier?
And they'll give you volume discounts. They'll give you great warranties. They'll get the job done.
Tommy, man, I appreciate your time, and we'll put all that stuff in the show notes and hope you have a great weekend.
All right. Have a great Easter, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks.